Today, I want to talk about the Red Scare of the 1920s. Now, the Red Scare was a time of extreme anti-communism in the United States. Now, communism is a system of government in which private ownership of property and business is not allowed. Instead, the government owns everything, and it makes sure the needs of everyone are supplied evenly. Now, this goes back to during World War I, when the Bolshevik Revolution took place in Russia. The Russian Tsar, or king, was overthrown during this time. Now, after the king was overthrown, the Soviet Union was established to rule Russia. They adopted communism. The U.S. was scared that communists from the Soviet Union would gain influence in America. They called communists from the Soviet Union Reds because of the color of the Soviet Union flag. This scared many people in the United States, and they feared that their government may be overthrown by those who didn't believe in the democratic principles in the United States. The level of nativism and fear of foreigners was at an all-time high. There was also little tolerance for people who had a different political belief. They were labeled Reds as well, and their lives were miserable as a result. The U.S. government also went on a witch hunt for Reds in the United States. The Attorney General of the United States oversaw a number of raids to round up Russian immigrants and anyone else thought to be a Red. These immigrants were ultimately deported back to their country of origin.
Despite the economic boom times, the Roaring Twenties was a period of great tension between Americans. Social, racial, and moral beliefs were constantly being challenged. A fear of communism, socialism, and anarchy, fueled by a distrust of any foreigner, led to one of the most notorious convictions and executions in American history. Two Italian immigrants, shoemaker Nicola Sacco and fishmonger Bartolomeo Vanzetti, were accused of robbing and killing a factory paymaster and a guard. Sacco and Vanzetti admitted to being anarchists, people who want to abolish all forms of government, and to being draft dodgers during World War I. However, both maintained they had not committed the crime. On the basis of circumstantial evidence, Sacco and Vanzetti were convicted and executed. Their guilt or innocence is still debated today. Guilty or not, the case personified the fear Americans had of immigrants. Some paranoid citizens felt immigrants took jobs rightfully belonging to American citizens. Others felt too many immigrants were political radicals. Between 1919 and 1921, the yearly number of new immigrants had shot up from 141,000 to 805,000. And Congress bowed to the pressure of Americans with nativist attitudes by passing a new law limiting immigration into the U.S. Additional restrictions were imposed 3 years later when the National Origins Act of 1924 further limited immigration. The acts discriminated against people from Eastern and Southern Europe, mostly Roman Catholics and Jews, and excluded the immigration of Japanese citizens altogether. The laws did not apply to immigrants from the Western Hemisphere, however, and approximately 1 million Canadians and 500,000 Mexicans crossed the borders into the U.S. The increasing popularity of nativism also stirred the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan, whose members had tormented and killed many African Americans in the South after the Civil War. The new Klan extended their bigotry to anyone not American, not Protestant, not white, while attempting to stamp out unions and saloons. By 1924, it boasted a membership of more than 4 million members.
One of the unfortunate social issues during this time is the idea of eugenics and social Darwinism. Eugenics is the idea or the belief that the human race can be improved through breeding. So if somebody with a mental disability can no longer breed or have children, then that would hopefully lessen the number of children with mental disabilities that are born. So this was an idea that happened during this time. And also there were people that had the belief of social Darwinism. Social Darwinism, for those people, they believe that different human races competed for survival, just like plants and animals do in the natural world. And so some people felt like the race that was the fittest were the ones that were surviving in terms of their economics and the progress of their society. Some of these ideas are going to end up spreading from the United States into Germany, that you'll see with Nazi Germany.